Everybody happy. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Let me adjust the microphone a little bit. Make sure everyone can hear me. Yep. All dialed up. Good. Everyone can hear me. Hello, everybody. So good to see you all. Very quiet morning for me, but I'm happy to be here with you all in Satsang on a very quiet, but as you can see behind me, a sunny day in Seattle. It's rare, so I have to run outside later to get my, or up on the roof to get my vitamin D. Anyway, thank you for being here. And do bear in mind, and I'm really grateful that you're here. When I think of all the places that could be getting your attention on a Sunday evening, night, or afternoon, and maybe even morning if you're in Hawaii or somewhere, early in the morning actually. So I do really appreciate the fact that there's a sincerity and an earnestness in you to truly come to understand who you really are. The desire to do so, which is not for the faint of heart, as you all know, sorting through all the ideas we have about ourselves, all the things we've been taught, all the assumptions, the unchallenged beliefs that are not just ingrained in you, but are the entire culture. There's not a single commercial message you don't get that isn't embedded with the sense of the separate self. There's not really a political message, an economic message. They're all, the entire structure of our society and our culture is based on this assumption of a separate self. And to become questioning towards that is, it's an act of great courage. And believe me, you all have more courage than you realize. You also have more realization than you realize. Don't idealize awakening and enlightenment because of all the things you've read or stories that you've heard. Whatever somebody else's experience was or is, you can never really know. You can only know your own. And therefore, you hear about a Ramana Maharshi or a Buddha or a Christ or anyone, right? Any story, somebody in antiquity, somebody recent history, or somebody alive now. It is just really a reduction of their experience. And if it's true, they'll be pointing you not to the circumstances that appeared around awakening, but to the actual, the essence and substance of it, which is why we're here in Satsang. Satsang isn't, the format is question and answer and engagement and that sort of thing, but that's not the real essence of it. The real essence of it is a looking and a seeing that goes beyond any of the questions. Right? So as our time together progresses, bear that in mind. Right? The mind will want to make this about getting questions, accumulating knowledge, looking for an quote-unquote understanding. But the only real understanding is a direct seeing. A direct seeing through everything that you believed yourself to be, which means you believed yourself to be this, starting with this body, and therefore limited, finite, subject to lack, subject to death, needing to accumulate things, needing to accumulate relationships, needing to accumulate knowledge. All of that is false. Right? The fact is, you need absolutely nothing. You already are everything that you imagined yourself to be seeking. It is a pure projection of the mind that takes the essential quality, the essential energetic signature that is you, and projects it outward onto what it then calls a world. There's no world. It is all consciousness. There's no objective thing out there at all from which you need to get anything or to which you need to give anything. There's no objective existence whatsoever. So you simply put your attention on the fundamental experience that everybody has. The fundamental experience of your being. That which, if it was not there, nothing else would be experienced. And that is the simple sense of I am. The awareness of your own being. Now, it doesn't seem very spectacular. It doesn't seem like this. It's this huge deal. There are no angels singing there. There are no great colored lights. There are not even any great insights, right? No great ahas, right? It is just this utterly silent, quiet, underlying background to everything. And if you just spend a moment in that sense of I am, you realize that you can't go any further than that. Anything that you would imagine beyond that would be imagined. For the direct experience of yourself, not referring to anything else, not even thinking about what somebody else might be experiencing, that will remain a mystery forever. Your own direct experience of yourself is simply that. I am. And can you go beyond that? Can you go prior to I am? Prior to I am, there would be oblivion, genuine nothing, utter emptiness in the sense of the void. You can't go beyond I am. It is the ground of being. It is the thing everyone is searching for. It has just been thought to be some great discovery, something that suddenly gifts you with city powers and you manifest the life of your dreams and do whatever you want and the like. The simple ground of being, that silent, empty place from which everything arises. Right? You can't go beyond that. And it is immediately accessible if you just take a moment and look for it. Just take a moment, withdraw from thinking and feeling and ideas and notions and aspirations and intentions to see what's left when everything extra has been removed. And it is not a disappointing discovery. The mind will be disappointed because there won't be any fireworks, there won't be any Hollywood special effects. It will just be utter stillness. And that stillness is being. That is you. So welcome everyone to Satsang. I'm gonna jump back here and, oh my goodness, lots of people here saying hello. Rainy Madrid, hello Roberto. Rosario also in Madrid. Roberto says, what do you think of family constellations? Like all, well, I know some people who are facilitators of it. Beautiful, beautiful people. And like all of these processes and practices and techniques, the heart is completely in the hearts of these people who do it, who created them, who work with people, is beyond question. Right? It also can have a very powerful healing effect. It can bring about enormous emotional shifts. And so in the hands of a good practitioner, any of these, like NLP or hypnotherapy or family constellation, various forms of energy healing, Reiki, body work, somatic work, all of these things can bring about deep emotional clearing. They can really help the system let go of the various kinds of traumas that have been collected and compounding over time, that have seriously constricted an individual's life. And so I say nothing against any of them, nor the people who practice them. I know many, and they're beautiful, very, very dear people. It's not this path. In this path, the therapeutic release of trauma or acquiring emotional release or emotional stability, getting to a place of just being more functional in your life is secondary. It's the wake on the boat. It's not the direction, it's not the point. Right? You'll always make a wake when the boat's going, and the wake of the boat of genuine self-inquiry is going to be a more stable life, more high-quality, intimate relationships, a reduction in fear, worry, self-doubt. That will be the consequence of it. But what separates this path from all other paths is its unyielding emphasis on who are you. Not just assuming who you are and making an improved version of that, which I do not have any argument with. For most, this path of self-inquiry is simply not on the radar. Right? It's all about self-improvement. It's all about personal development. The I that is being personally developed is not questioned, though, in any of these. Nobody asks, who am I? Right? Am I even this person that I'm trying to improve? Was this really my life? I make a family constellation or any of the other forms in which those things can take place. The kind of work with the ancestors and work with just your own childhood issues and things like that, which I will mention and I will talk about and even work on some. Right? But at the heart of it, at the heart of this path, is the question: who am I? Who was it? Right? Who do I see myself as I'm standing here in relationship to my mother and my father and all the various things that go on in something like family constellation? Is that who I actually am? Or is that the conditioned self that is a product of that environment, and I am something else completely that was never really touched by it? This is the approach that I take, that the non-dual approach takes. It is not looking at the person who needs improving, recognizing that the person who needs improving is the conditioning, and there's no person there, which is why its results can be unpredictable, impermanent, and they never quite reach the real target. The true I was never conditioned. As I like to say, GP was not conditioned. GP is the name of the conditioning. I am not him. I never was. I never will be. Everything I knew of myself was in fact not me at all. It was no one. It was nothing but a very complex set of conditions, responses, assumptions, beliefs, ideas, identifications that never actually had a real owner, a real person. The me that really is projected its beingness upon that which has no being. The self which you are projected its selfness onto that which has no actual existence. There's nobody there. So there's not really anybody who needs to be improved. There's nobody there who was broken in the first place. It's like projecting a sense of sentience and actual reality onto a robot. If a robot is lifelike enough, and it starts crying, we'll think it has hurt feelings. Right? Siri on your phone, right? Or Alexa, they can cry, say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know that." There's nothing there feeling anything. The one who's feeling it is you. And the one that is feeling or cognizing it is not the conditioning. This is where the road diverges. And non-dual inquiry goes this way, and all other psychological, emotional, even spiritual techniques go that way. That question never gets asked. The I is assumed. In this practice, the I is recognized to be an assumption and questioned to its depths until it is seen to be nothing but a thought. And I am not that. And the true I am has never been touched by it and never could be. It's been like a cloud passing through the sky, a severe storm passing through the sky. The sky has remained untouched, absolutely pure, as it was in the beginning. So that's what I have to say about those sort of things. And once again, this is not me saying this stuff is wrong. And there are times, and if it's something that's being drawn to you, and it's something that can help you get through some of the difficulties you're in, by all means. I never tell anybody not to do things. Right? This isn't a this isn't a monastery where you have to conform to a certain set of beliefs. It's not the case. This is about your own discovery. I have what I say. I have say what I say, but then I say you do whatever you're led to do. I've tried many, many things over my life. I have not led a monochromatic life. In the beginning, I started to be very strict and monk-like, and just not do anything. Just never had a drink. Never, I was totally monk-like in my life. And I began to realize that I just kind of wound the string too tight. Right? I wasn't really free. I wasn't really experiencing. I had narrowed my focus, even though it had, it started in something very, extremely expansive. In the process of really integrating, I closed myself in. And so I learned all sorts of techniques. I've done family constellation. I've done male initiation rituals. I've done all sorts of gestalt and abreaction processes and all numerous kinds of energy healing techniques. Some, as you know, I still use. Right? And that all helped to open me up where I could finally be ready to hear the true Advaita, the true not-to-ness, the true Zen of being, and find that essential I am that needs no improving, that has never ever been anything but its pure original being. So that's what I have to say about that. Thank you, Roberto. Bless your heart. Sabugo. And now I know your real name. Hello, dear Master. Hope you're doing good this Sunday. Blessed to meet you with us Friday. Yeah, it was so wonderful to get to talk to you, and it's such a joy for me, which is why I love doing the retreats, where I actually get a group of people on Zoom, and we can hang out together. And I get to actually interact with people more than I do when I'm just reading questions. But I can't do that. I can't do that every week. It takes a little bit more effort than that. But I should tell you that sometime this week I'm going to be opening up a service on my site. I became very disillusioned with Patreon. You know, the thing for, people make monthly donations to help support you. And I have many people there who it's been very, very helpful. But Patreon, like many other platforms, they took on venture capital money, and now the venture capital, they're changing the rules, they're changing it up. They've got to figure out ways to make money. The cost increased. I mean, I had people that were donating $1 a month, right? And now about half of that goes to Patreon. Not to me. It has to get to a sizable amount before the percentages are low. And on top of that, they've actually started censoring. They've deplatformed some people, whose livelihood depended upon those donations, and they've just taken them down because they decided they didn't like what they had to say. So now they're censoring. So I'm decided to let that go, and I've created my own subscription service where I'm going to be posting excerpts from all the satsangs, all of the past meditations I've done, some new content. Most of it just taking everything I've done and organizing it in one place. The meditations, the EFT videos, my radio, the replays from my radio show, the excerpts from my satsangs. And, one of these satsangs will take me, half a day to a day to break it down into chunks. There's like 14 or 15. I'll take a question and the answer, and I'll make it separate. So, and I'm making it really inexpensive, just like $15 a month. But I'll be announcing that this week. So I don't know why I got off on that, but I did. Just something about the retreat and things that are coming up, because I will be doing another retreat probably at the end of June, and then I'm thinking about another EFT class, maybe a combination of EFT and inner reconciliation in July. So that's that. Pure knowingness. Namaste. Thank you, Tony. Ava, hello, Ava. There's Penny. Yes, Penny, how are you, my dear girl? Penny lost her father on Monday and gave me this beautiful gift called love. All I see in everyone is love. And happy Mother's Day to all. You're also very loved. Yes, I forgot to mention that. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there, and to all of you who have mothers, whether they are still with us or not. And of course, we all have that mother goddess in the universe around us and inside of us, that is the true creator, the true source of it all. It is beautiful that the emptiness of shunyata is regarded as the creator of the universe, the womb of the universe. And it's such a beautiful metaphor, just the womb, the darkness, the quiet, the silence, the oneness with the mother. That's the origin, really, of us all. And so all my love to all the mothers and all the children of mothers, which is all of us. Robbie in Romania, hello, sir. Rosario, Penny, we are close to you. Ah, there's Bob. Privileged to be here. Love you all. Love you too, Bob. So good to see you. David and Elaine, my good friends. Hi, GP and everyone. Love and greetings from Southeast England. Dear Penny, so sorry. Yes, about your father. What greater gift could you have than love? Lisa from the Atlantic seaboard. Hi, Lisa. There's Sue in South Africa. Hello to you. Pleon in Sweden. Hello to you. Another great website satsang awaits. Indeed. Well, my hair's kind of frizzy today. I just don't want to get it cut. I mean, it's been 1.5 years, right, since COVID started, and I just haven't had the urge to get it cut. I'm starting to look like I did when I was 19. Hi, John in Ireland. Good to see you. Jonas, hello. Favorite time of the week. What do you think about ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, LSD, weed, psychedelics in general? Can they lead to awakening? I have never, I know a lot of people. I know shamans, I know friends who facilitate it. Needless to say, I've done this stuff. Like a lot of psychological, emotional techniques, there's a lot that can be gained, a lot that can be healed, a lot of inner insight. They can help people overcome fear. I have never, ever seen anyone become enlightened because of it. I have never met an enlightened shaman. I've met extremely wise human beings, incredibly loving, not afraid of death, feeling very connected to life, but none who were fully awake. And so I think it's a lot like many of the psychological and emotional techniques that we have these days. It can have an enormously powerful impact on improving one's life, establishing a completely different relationship with life. I honor these as medicines, but like all medicines, they're only taken for a while. They're not supposed to be permanent, right? And they are not the source of health. They're simply a help to get back to it. And frankly, I wish we could dump a whole ton of ayahuasca into the water supply of Washington D.C. and pretty much every capital in the country and in the world, because these guys need it, right? I doubt if I'm going to have any politicians sitting in Satsang anytime soon. But so yes, I don't discount it, but I also see its limitations. As I said earlier to Roberto, I see no problem with any of these things, and I can see them as being very, very helpful for many, many people. But there's a point at which the non-dual path and all other paths diverge, and I just don't know any other path that leads to the awakening to who you actually are. I just don't know of any other. Right? I mean, I've seen the threads in different forms. The approach of Zen Buddhism is different than the approach of Advaita Vedanta, which is different than the approach of like the Sufi. But the essence of them is identical. It is a seeing through of any kind of a personal self. The personal self, the one you're trying to improve, in non-duality doesn't even exist. It is an idea, a thought, a concept, projected upon a world. And reality is that which is aware of all of that. Even in the most profound journey you might take to other dimensions and other worlds, there is still a you who is experiencing it. That never changes. It doesn't matter what the experience is, whether it's absolutely horrible or if you're seeing God. The one doing the seeing is the one that's of most importance. I mean, an entirely new universe can open up in front of you, but it will be an experience. It will come and go. It will not be you. You say, this is absolutely magnificent. Angels and voices and colors and a profound sense of emptiness, a profound sense of unity with all things. Wonderful. God, what that would do for our world, right? But it's an experience. Who's the one having the experience? That's the question that non-duality takes, no matter what the experience is, profound or mundane, turns you around. It's just an experience. Every experience comes and goes. It may have an effect on the emotions, on the body, on the health, on all sorts of things, right? But it comes and goes. The body comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. What doesn't come and go? What is not an experience? What is there that does not need to be journeyed to, nor can be journeyed from? This is the direction we point to in Satsang. This is the direction of the non-dual path of inquiry. the Vedantic inquiry. Whatever I experience cannot be me, for I am beholding it. Who am I? The one to whom the experience is appearing, that is not an experience. And so hopefully that explains my position on it. Again, like all psychological, emotional, energetic techniques, no matter what they are, I have no argument with them. They have their place, right? But this is the ultimate. And I've just not seen anything else that leads to the essence of the I itself, beyond all experience, to a complete absorption in the beingness that has all experiences. And even the sense of being someone having an experience is itself an experience by that which is not an experience at all, is unknowable, because there's nothing there to know. It is knowingness itself. So I hope I make that clear, that it is not a dismissal or a denial, just putting everything into perspective, where everything fits, and what the ultimate is. Thank you for that, Jonas. Penny says, thank you to everyone. Thanks to David and Elaine. Martin, hello everyone. Why does it sometimes happen that people believe their own lies after a time? Thank you. It really is the nature of the psychological mind. It's not that people don't believe it, that they start believing their own lies. They make them up it's not somebody says, oh, this is a lie, and then they start believing it. It's not recognized as a lie. And I don't even like the word lie when we're talking about these kinds of things, because nobody believes a lie. When you see a lie, it's a lie, right? And there's nothing lying to you. Because if the mind was going to lie to you, that would mean it had to know what the truth was and purposely giving you its opposite. It doesn't know what the truth is. The nature of the psychological mind is that it has this deep need, this absolute mandate to always have an explanation for everything. It's called the storyteller mind, and it's a psychological reality. It was discovered at the same time they discovered the whole right brain, left brain thing. That the left brain being logical, the left brain basically creates a map of reality that you can walk in. Now, it's a pure fabrication because it's not reality. It's based on very limited information. But it will always create a story to fit experience based on memory and association and all sorts of things, and then believe that story to be true, because it is completely uncomfortable with and incapable of enduring the feeling of not knowing. It makes it feel very unstable and very unsafe. So it creates, fabricates a story and believes it simultaneously. So it's not a lie, right? You have to step out of it. Consciousness has to awaken to a degree to question that story and now look at it from another perspective. The moment you see that story isn't true, it can't fool you any longer. Yes, it may come back, it may keep presenting itself, because the story isn't just in the head, it gets embodied in the whole body, and so these ideas and feelings and experiences can reappear. But once you've established yourself in a position of seeing a lie, an untruth as an untruth, it can't fool you anymore. You don't have to focus your attention or meditate for hours on 2 + 2 = 4, right? To make sure you're not fooled by 2 + 2 = 3. You don't have to do that anymore. And 2 + 2 = 3 isn't a lie, it's a mistake, right? Even the one who's lying consciously is actually speaking their truth, that you have to be manipulated by being deceived into thinking what they're doing is not what they're doing, right? It gets very twisted. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. And so it has been recognized by propagandists, manipulators, which includes marketers, advertisers, political, social, all of that kind of stuff, they believe in a cultural relativism that they can basically create truth, and if they pitch that message enough, it will become truth. Hence, Fox News, MSNBC, that's what they're all doing. They're all pitching a narrative. Right? They're not interested in the truth. They don't care about the truth. They get $5-10 million a year to sit there and lie. Right? And then they believe it. Right? They absorb it. Right? At least they believe that the position they're in, they need to do that. Right? And so when the message is constantly being bombarding you, that this is true, this is true, this is true, this is true, it's hard to take a stand and go, well, is it really? It's just, like when you're a child, all you ever hear is the message of your tribe, right? And then maybe the message of your community, which doesn't have much variance from the tribe, right? When I grew up as a kid, everybody thought the same, right? That's the nature of community. When you get older, you start questioning it. Well, you leave, which is what I did, right? Many stayed there, right? And so this is common. If the culture keeps bombarding you with this particular message, it's going to start feeling like, well, is this really true? Is this really true? And of course, the more the media is focused that way, and the less sort of availability we have of actual sources of information, right? Plus, just an incapacity to do the depth of research needed to find out what actually is. We're kind of left to our own intuition about it. So it really comes from just an understanding of the psychological mind, the way it works, the way it really wants to have a story to hold on to, and once it does, it doesn't want to let go of it. So these stories, as long as it makes me feel safe, that's my definition of true, right? So I can identify with a particular group. I identify with particular attitude of nationalism or white supremacy, or vax and anti-vax, and just identifying with a position. In non-dual inquiry, you step out of all positions. You recognize all positions are a position, nothing more. This is a very advanced place to get to. So it doesn't mean you don't take any position, but you realize that there's no such thing as an absolute position. Right? It's all relative. You're dealing one relative thing after another, but you're dealing with a world that's trying to present just relative opinions as absolute truths. And so it takes strength and courage to stand back and go, I'm not sure that's really true. Matter of fact, I know it's not. I know it's not true. And even if I have to go along with it, right, to follow the convention, I know it's not an absolute truth. There are no absolute truths in this world, right? The absolute truths come from somewhere else. And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one, and that's love. That's my guideline. How loving is it? On the scale of loving to not loving, how high up the scale of loving is it? If it's high up the scale, the higher up the scale of loving it is, the more I'm going to support it. That's the only position I take. So, thank you for that question, Martin. And there's the awakened INFJ, another Jonas, and another psychedelic user. It was a while now since some of my most insightful, beautiful experiences in life. No words for some moments of the ego dropping, pure beauty. Yes. Hi, GB. Hi, Jonas. Yes, that's the experience. Yes. And the realization, that experience of the ego dropping, right? It's very subtle, right? There's this sense that thought falls away. But if you look really closely, you'll find there's still a sense of a person there. It's very, very subtle, right? And that sense of the person, the one having the experience, none of those can get to that. They can't go beyond that. Right? They have hit the limit as far as they go, and the teacher plants will actually admit themselves. They've gone as far as they can go. Penny's saying thank you. There's Ursula, Madeira Island. So good to see you. There's Happy Girl. Gee, what is dark night of the soul? And why is it painful when the ego dies? It's not painful when the ego dies. Matter of fact, it's bliss. But don't think of the ego as something dying, right? It's like Bugs Bunny dying. Bugs Bunny can't die because he was never born. He doesn't really exist. He's a concept. He's a fabrication. He's an animation. Right? It's not a real thing. The dark night of the soul is simply what it feels like when we're holding on to the egoic mind. Right? When we still have an attachment to the ambitions and desires and interests and possessiveness and aversions of the ego. And that's all it is. The ego is nothing but the collection of attachments, aversions, hates, fears, love, desires, aspirations, ambitions. That's all it is. It is a collection of those things that took a particular form in your life because of your particular culture and upbringing, and so they take on that particular flavor. We project upon that a sense of self, and that's the egoic mind. But it doesn't exist. There's nothing really there. There is no ego. So the death of it cannot be painful. So what you're experiencing isn't that, because the ego is never alive. If you realize that, this whole thing will become a whole lot easier. What you're dealing with is your own attachments to a particular way of living and being and thinking. That's it. That's it, right? I like this. I don't want to let it go, right? Who's the I that's holding on to it, right? And when you really look at the connection of that which is holding on to something and you examine it closely, you'll find that it's just a repetitive conditioned pattern and that there's nobody holding on to it. Okay? This eliminates the dark night of the soul. Right? It eliminates the sense of an ego death, which is really quite a misnomer and has become very dramatized. Right? I experienced the ego death. Well, who experienced it? If there's someone there to experience the ego death, you didn't. It was the ego experiencing its imaginary death, right? The true ego death is, it's gone. I am gone. The Mississippi disappears into the Gulf of Mexico. No more Mississippi. It is just the Gulf of Mexico, which disappears into the Atlantic Ocean. No more Gulf of Mexico, only the ocean. And of course, we arbitrarily made those names up, right? And drew a line. There's no hard line. There's one ocean, right? And it's in the bay, and my Elliott Bay right here in the Puget Sound. There's no sound. There's no bay. There's just the ocean. There's just this ocean. The drop of rain hits the ocean. There's no more drop. It is the ocean. Does it talk about missing? Does the Gulf of Mexico miss the Mississippi? Do you go out in the Gulf of Mexico looking for the Mississippi? Oh, there it is. So, like it's swimming through the Gulf, or look for the Gulf in the Atlantic Ocean. You see there that these are arbitrary lines that have been created by the mind that don't really exist. The ego doesn't really exist. This is the seeing. I'm not that. I never was. Right? I haven't lost anything. So even the sense of there being an ego death is being experienced by the ego, by a sense of a self. The moth becomes one with the flame. There's no more moth. There's only flame. I am the flame. Right? I am the self. The I completely disappears into the self. The I am disappears into the ultimate I am. And so see it that way, and you'll recognize that the only thing that's struggling is what attachments we have left to being a person. Let go of all of it. Just let go of all of it and be empty. Right? Let go of all the things you think you want, recognizing, I don't even know if I want them. How many things have you gotten in your life that you really, really wanted and you went, oh, here. Right? Because you thought you wanted them, and then you find that you don't. Or the things you really resisted and averse to, and it happens like, oh, that was really nice. Let's do that again. Right? We don't really know. Right? Because we've gotten into a certain state that, and in this state we've identified ourselves as something, and so now the world is divided up into the I wants and I don't wants. Like, give me that, get rid of that. And it's completely arbitrary. Let go of that shell that says this is good, this is bad, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and be formless, be empty, be nobody. And there'll be no more ego death, there's no more dark night of the soul. Life becomes, you are life. Everything becomes yourself. Thank you for that, happy girl. Dorte in Denmark. Hello, Dorte. Robbie, question. Can you give us some advice for someone wanting to feel love, particularly the feel of being love, especially when it's a struggle to maintain that feeling for any longer than a couple minutes? Yes, I can. Let go of trying to feel it. Don't try. Give up wanting to feel love. That reduces love to an emotion. And if it's emotion or a feeling, it can come and go. And there's no such thing as any feeling that can be sustained permanently. Nothing can be sustained permanently. Not even the feeling of love, which would be affection, right? Or maybe, or maybe romance, maybe the in love feeling. They cannot be maintained. No feeling can be maintained. Love in its essence is not a feeling. So you don't need to feel loved. You need to discover that you are love. That love is what you are, which means everything you do is love. Every feeling you have, every idea, every concept, every gesture, every emotion is love in action. Love is identity. It is not emotion. It is not feeling. So trying to maintain that feeling is, first off, impossible and a huge distraction. Nisargadatta said very interestingly, he said, a man's lust for a woman is innocence itself compared to the yogi's lust for a permanent, personal bliss. Wow. The yogis trying to get into samadhi, maintaining this state of perfect bliss for as long as they possibly can, which nobody can. They are going to fall out of it because it is the seeds of the separate self are still there. And the moment all that effort, concentration fades away, they will be back. Right? You're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah. Don't try to maintain a feeling of love. Instead, turn towards that which is aware of the feeling of love coming and going. And you'll find the peace that is the real nature of love. Then you will be love. And you will be love right now. Love asked that question. Love is hearing my words. Love is sitting in that seat. You are that. And what you are is not felt. It is what is doing all the feeling. It is the point of cognition, and that point of cognition is just not intellectual or mental. It is the point of all experience. It is the intersection of all experiences. Touch, sight, taste, smell, sound, thought, emotion, memory. All of it is hitting this point of cognition, and the nature of that point of cognition, the nature of the self, is love. To know that you are nothing is wisdom. To know that you are everything is love. Between these two, my life flows. Again, Nisargadatta. How is that for you, Ravi? Beautiful question. And thank you for asking that, because it's such an important thing, because in the spiritual path, we so often believe that somehow we're supposed to arrive at this state of emotional bliss, of permanent emotional happiness. That's not it. You can't get through life like that. You wouldn't want to, right? You know, when you lose someone close to you, like Penny lost her father, you're not going to be blissful. You should feel the loss. That's life. That's love. I feel that. I don't want to not, how do I feel love? That's how you feel love. Love is felt as grief. It is also felt as deep intimacy. It's felt as sacred sexuality. It's felt as a good book, as hearing an incredible piece of music, or seeing a beautiful piece of art, or a sunset, or the face of a child, or a picture of a planet. That's love. It's all love. Love is all there is. Find it as the principle of being, the nature of the I, and you'll find every experience is nothing but that. Thank you. Positive Patty. What is the difference between thinking and imagination in your view? GP? And thank you. I know you said JP. It's GP. Everybody does that. I don't even pay any attention anymore when somebody says that. No difference. There's no real difference. All thinking is imagination. Every concept we have is imagination. Your name is imaginary. You know, you didn't come with your name printed on your forehead. Your gender, it's all conceptual. It's all imaginary. The only thing that isn't imaginary is you, the real you, the sense I am. You don't imagine that. The experiencing you're having is all happening as part of what you could call imagination, experientially, that which is coming and going, all the forms that we have. And a subtle form of that is thinking. And some imagination. And so people have very vivid imaginations, very creative imaginations. Some not so much. Same thing at night. What's the difference between the thinking and the dream you're having? Right? Well, it's just a form of thinking, that's all. It's a form of formation of thought. Nothing more. What isn't imagined? Right? We do a meditation, which I do, especially on retreats. We go to the place where there's no imagining. That sense I am, the sense of being right now, the sense of cognizing my words. You're not imagining that. Right? You may be imagining what it means, what I'm like, what I'm thinking about, what I'm talking about. All of that's conjecture, right? Or imaginings. But your being is not imaginary. It's the only thing that isn't. That's why it's real. Everything imagined is not real. It is secondary. It is dependent and relational. Right? But you are not. You are not imagined. Even imagination and thinking couldn't appear if there wasn't something there real to whom it would appear. So you are reality. You experience imagination. The universe is imaginary. Good to know. So enjoy it. Kiran in Alabama. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Adelson. Peace, G. Peace to you, my friend. I have an internal struggle. I'm from Beantown, and racial tensions are real. I have such hatred towards whites, and I know it is because of what's going on. How can I deal with it in non-duality? Thank you. Thank you for that question. Well, I'm going to, first off, what I have to say is, the ones who have to deal with it are white. The innate sense of white supremacy, which is so ingrained in the Western culture that we don't even know it. We think of it as just as default. We don't think of whiteness. We don't say, that was a great white athlete or a great white filmmaker. Notice it's the neutral background, right? It's a filmmaker. Or it's a great athlete. It's a great musician, right? We feel that we have to categorize it. A great Native American. Oh, a great Asian filmmaker, right? Even though there are more Asians than white, but we're talking about in your world of Boston and New York and all the big cities and the like. So first off, you're going to have to deal with it, and I can help you with that. But I want to make it really clear that you're not the problem. We are. And I've seen it. I grew up white male entitled to the degree I didn't even realize it. Right? I didn't realize that I make less money than a white person, but I could get a mortgage, or a black person, I get a mortgage and they couldn't. Why? Because I was white. So many things that I took for granted. I grew up, I remember vaguely black and white washrooms when I was a very small child in Chicago and Oak Park and that area. Moving to the white suburbs, which was completely white because they didn't give mortgages to black people. I just didn't realize it. I was a fish in that water. And so I never had any idea till I started actually having real friends that were black and actually really close, and actually seeing their life up close and going, holy shit, I had no idea. Even with this, the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd and the other, sorry. It struck me even more. It's like, I have a clue, Our culture has no clue. And so for us to take responsibility is primary. It is my job on that score. Now, having said all that, so I can make sure that's, that slate is clean, that the truth of our being transcends all racial differences. The soul has no gender, it has no race, it has no beliefs, it has no cultural or ethnic bias, it has no nationality. Right? It is absolutely pure. It is absolutely itself. And I don't mean pure one thing or another. Because even the idea of race is a lie. It was invented. There's no race. There's no such thing. It was invented by white people to make a distinction for the purpose of slavery and genocide. There is no such thing as race. There's no more. It no longer exists as a reality than the boundary between the U.S. and Canada. Go look. You won't find a border. There is none. It's completely in the mind. So now, recognizing that, you have to recognize that all the white people you meet, with very few exceptions, will be infected by this. Knowing that allows you to be wise and perceptive, and also protect yourself. I don't swim with sharks because I know that they won't change their nature to accommodate me, because they don't know how. We can, though, discover the original innocence in ourselves, that which is beyond our conditioning, that which is more, greater than any other culture, than any race or any religion or any nationality or any cultural view, that transcends all of those. That is what you are. And the non-dual path is the earnest search for who you actually are. This isn't a diminishment of our cultural experiences and our cultural richness. Right? Especially, we live in a world where we have such opportunity to share cultural richness. I mean, I would have been a teeny bopper if it wasn't for black music. I don't know what the hell I would have done. I played John Philip Sousa's and polkas and stuff. I mean, it was my introduction to B.B. King that made me a musician. I mean, The debt that we all owe is just... Sorry, I'm mixing it up between my own emotionalness about this and trying to guide you into the... Because as I'm guiding to this place that is beyond all race and gender and creed and belief, I don't want to discount anything that's happening here. The reality of what we've had to deal with, what you've had to deal with, we have to take responsibility for on this level, so that I'm not discounting any of that when we go to the level that transcends all of it, right? And brings you to a place of love that is wise. Right? I love sharks. They're beautiful. They're amazing to watch. They're just so powerful and relentless. But boy, I'm not going to go hang out with them. Simple as that. Who are you? That which is aware of this body, even to a sense inhabiting this body, is not the body. Ultimately, you are not black. I am not white. We're not Asian. We have none of those characteristics. It is this temporary vehicle we happen to be moving in. You're not your body. You never have been. Again, this isn't a discounting of it. When you transcend one level, you don't eradicate it, you subsume it into a higher. You absorb from it all its great qualities. You remove from it all its limitations. And you allow it to be fully what it is. So this isn't a denial of these aspects of ourselves, including those characteristics of race, right? It is a liberation of them from their limitations, right? And a limitation, a liberation from our fear of other, because in this space there is no other. I'm alone here. I'm alone with the reality of my own being. And from here, I can see that every experience I have is only with my own concept. Again, that doesn't mean I'm not wise. There's a natural protection in there. It is said often that Jesus kind of disappeared from crowds, right, who are hostile towards him, or just thronging him to the point where he would just kind of completely unseen, just kind of disappear, right? Like a ninja, right? So this brings a wisdom with it. It is not foolhardy. But the bottom line is this: you're not your body. It's a vehicle through which you express, and every body is different, right? There's only one race, the human race. We all came from the same place. We all have black genes in us. Everybody does. It's only been environment that has caused the differences in the physical characteristics, nothing more. Very superficial. Right? But every body is different. The vehicle through which you, the reality, manifest and express itself is different in every single one. And every single one is valid. Every single one has a unique way of doing it. Every single one of it is what gives this infinite, unseeable, unknowable self access to this incredible range of self-expression. One self, many different forms. And out of this grows the wisdom that is based on love, that finds the innocence in all, and yet knows how to evade the hatred and the evil. Boy, I hope I said that right. Unfortunately, this one hits me so hard that it's hard for me to stay in the sense of the absolute about it. So tell me if I'm helpful, Adelson. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Oof. Suzanne, hello Suzanne, hi there. Can you talk about the Schumann resonance? And does music in a special Hertz sequence really have healing effects on us? Thanks. There's so much that isn't known about that because we really don't know who we are, right? And we have such a materialistic view of things now. The whole Schumann resonance and, the 432, 176, 528, and I do know this. I've actually made music in those various scales set at that temper. My own experience, and it's purely subjective, is that I feel the difference. Right now, is that completely psychosomatic? I created it because I wanted to, or is there something real there? There's no way to tell. Right. I tend to like 432 instead of 440. It does feel different to me, and as a musician, I use it. Right? Is there an absolute science behind it? I don't know. No, there isn't. It's all regarded as pseudoscience. As a matter of fact, when I did some research on this about 2 years ago, when I was looking into this kind of stuff to see if it did, I couldn't really find any hard evidence of it. I couldn't even find multiple sources of evidence. Everything I found all said the same thing, and I kind of traced it back to this one place that everything seemed to have come from. Does it work because we believe it does? Well, yes, everything does. I believe the same thing about the vaccine, about aspirin. It works because we believe it does. That's the nature of consciousness. Now, please don't stop taking aspirin, and don't make that be the reason I'm not going to get a vaccine because G said it doesn't really do anything. I'm not saying that at all. I have no response. I'm not going to take any kind of. It'd be irresponsible for me to say anything like that. In my belief, I've just seen it enough times to feel, without having what that would be regarded as hard scientific evidence, that our minds create it all, every last bit of it. So, switching up the frequencies in music, to me, makes sense. I mean, Aristotle, was it Plato, wrote about different modes, right, which were the more ancient scales. Some should not be played because they brought out the worst in human nature. That's true. I listen to the boom, the dance songs and everything, and there's nothing relaxing or calming about that, right? That boom repetitiveness and the like. It's made to get you going. There's not even a groove there, right? And yet I'll hear something that's like a real groove from a really good percussionist or drummer, and I just can't help but move, right? So we can't deny the effect of these. I can't say, and nobody I know can say, they have an effect, right? Our modern world has its scientific criteria by which they say it does or it doesn't. That's kind of our gold standard. I don't actually agree with it. I think it too has its own limitations. I am much more prone to go with the subjective side of it. So, the bottom line is, do you feel a difference? Don't make too much out of it. Enjoy it. Don't try to turn it into an absolute. It's not necessary. So, will I continue to write music and scale it down to 432? Yep, I sure will. For some reason, it sounds different to me, and I may be completely making it up, maybe completely a placebo. But I don't care. It's fine anyway. Thank you, Suzanne. Johnny B. Hi, I'm struggling a bit at present. I've started to have some genuine glimpses of reality, i.e. no separation. It's quite frightening as ego is bringing up all horrible thoughts in. How do I cope? To whom are these horrible thoughts appearing? Are these horrible thoughts, are they separate from you? Are they this thing out there that are trying to get you? Dive more into that. No separation at all. Oh. Where are these thoughts then? Oh, they're in me. Why should I be afraid or intimidated by something that's in me? Am I afraid of my hand? Oh my God, it's going to get me. It's going to get me. Like Dr. Strangelove, right? It's me. It's just me. No separation at all. I mean, the ego is nothing but a bunch of thoughts. So it's not, the ego is not bringing up all sorts of horrible thoughts. There's not an ego bringing up thoughts. There's only the arising of thoughts. And it's very natural that when there's kind of that experience of spaciousness, that the old habitual patterns will get triggered. The button will get pushed, right? You know, DEFCON 5, the devil is going, hey, send out the reinforcements, send out the demons. And all these things start coming, and what the hell's happening? With the separation. And what's the feeling there? I want to be separate from them. Ooh, can you see how it got you? Well, it's just me. There's no ego. There's no thing trying to get me. These are just the thoughts that have collected over time in this particular little space. I'm the space. Am I the least bit touched by what thoughts go by in the space? And these thoughts, the horrible thoughts, are they here now? So they're not permanent. They come and go. Now, you can get even more subtle and get even more established in this place. Notice that there's the horrible thought. Then there's a reaction to that thought. Now, it's more subtle. It's not necessarily a thought. It's a feeling. A feeling of aversion. I want it to go away. But isn't that too just another thing that has arisen in this space? Is that too something that is not separate from you? So does it need to be gotten rid of? No separation at all. You know, I think I'm worried. I got all these worries, and we think the mission is to get rid of the worry. And in that thinking, I have to get rid of this worry. I've created it. I've now turned it into an entity that I'm fighting with. Right? I did that. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I've literally turned this into an enemy I'm fighting, I'm worshiping, and I'm saying, why don't you go away? It's you. There's nothing to go away. Show me this enemy. Show me the worry. Show me the doubt. Show me the horrible thought. Show me the one who's intimidated by the horrible thought. Show me the one who wants it to go away. We're talking about total freedom. It doesn't matter whether there's horrible thoughts there or not. Who are you? Oh, hello, horrible thought. Where'd you come from? Oh, you're me. Are you smiling like Johnny? Yet? There's no other. There's nobody there you have to get rid of. There's no ego or mind that's messing you up. There's no evildoer in there. They're just thoughts. If I say they have to go away, I just created an entity where there isn't one. And now I'm fighting with a ghost. I'm fighting with a figment of my own imagination. Do you get it? Does everybody get that? Get this, and you'll never be concerned about any thought ever again. It's like, damn, they're all me. It's just me. But we see these thoughts, it's like the kitten looking in the mirror thinking you're seeing another kitten. It's you. Hello. Love, 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 love it. Thank you, Johnny B. Anja from Germany. Love to be here with you and listen to the wisdom. I love listening to it too. John Rendell. Hello, John. The pace of our soul. Oops. Jumped ahead on me. Oh, there's my friend Susanna. Where'd it go? Where did you go? The pace of our soul is so bright. Girls from Mother Nature, we gotta go back as we were and connect with nature, we just thank you of the earth nature is calling us to be one spirit. That is the nature of Gaia, the nature of the earth. The nature of the earth is a manifestation of the mother principle. The mother principle is the face of God. God is the I am. I am is the firstborn of the self. And you are the self. Everything around you is the self. There's nothing but the self. It is all the self. All the gods and goddesses, the earth spirits, are all you. Pan, Zeus, Yahweh, Buddha, they're all you. They are all you. The earth is you. I mean the personal you. It is a manifestation of the same essence that is you. Reconnecting to that nature is to reconnect to the original innocence, the original source, made manifest as Mother Earth, the Mother Goddess, the womb of all being. It is all the manifestation of the I am. And the I am is the firstborn of the transcendent, unknowable, unfathomable, infinite self, which is who you are. It is that and that alone which is. Thank you, John. Vanyashi, salud. Sitting in the forest in front of the sunset, meditating. A rare, mesmeric, sunny evening in the middle of Norway. Perfect timing. Oh, I'm jealous. I want to come hang out with you. Oh, mesmeric, sunny evening in the middle of Norway. As you're getting on to the days where the sun doesn't actually set. Beautiful. Hello, my sheikh. Hello, Faith. Faith in Algeria. If you advise me with one practice, what it would be? Love you. I love you too. Be with the sense I am. That which you know is. Everything else is dubious, isn't it? Everything else is questionable. Everything else is subject to change. Everything else shifts based on the position I take. Right? It's all relative to my perception. What is not relative to my perception? Myself. I am. I am. That. Stay there. That's all you have to do. You realize that Nisargadatta heard that from his own master. He never spoke to his master many times. His master was not somebody who sat there and you came to. He served the householders. So his master, I can't even pronounce his name. If somebody types it here, I might be able to say it. Would travel from town to town, unlike the masters that would just sit somewhere and people would come to them. The householders couldn't do that. They couldn't make a trip. They had to take care of their families and everything. So there were some sages who would just wander place to place and meet with people, and that's how Nisargadatta met his master, who told him, "You're not who you think you are." He says, "You alone are." Right? To deny existence to anything other than yourself. And Nisargadatta said, "I believed him. I trusted him, and I did what he said." And in 3.5 years, he became one of the greatest sages of all time. He simply did what his guru told him to do with total earnest. Focus on the I am. Deny existence to anything other than that. Everything. Doubt the existence of everything. It is the great doubt. You don't know if any of this exists. Nobody does. You could be dreaming. You could be an alien on another planet dreaming you're a human. There's only one thing that is completely undoubtable, indubious, and that is I am. It is what is. That is the doorway. Knock on it. Stay with it. Yes, you'll fall out. You'll be engaged with things. And of course, we're going to. Right? We have relationships. We're householders. I don't think we got any Brahmins here. Right? Right? There's things you have to do. Right? Lives that have to be led. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He did not go and meditate on that all day long. He ran 4 little cigarette beedies, what they call it. He made cigarettes. He had 4 little cascos around Bombay at the time. And he had his business. He worked there all day. And he took care of his family. He raised kids. He said, I gave every spare moment to the I Am. The time that was his, and his alone, he devoted to it. 3.5 years. Shorter than the Buddha. Took Siddhartha over 6. It's all you have to do. It's the only practice you need, because you are sitting with what is. So you deny everything. He even said, deny the obvious stuff. Was I born? Doubtful. I don't know. I certainly don't remember it. People tell me I was. Hearsay. Are you going to die? I have no idea. That people tell me I am. I don't feel a sense of anything. This is. Can this is become what is not? Is my awareness of this going to simply vanish in oblivion? There'll be absolutely nothing. I will cease to exist. Dubious. I am. Oh, that I am is so powerful because it is what is. Nobody's tricked you into that. I don't care. The devil, the most clever super being, could not convince you that you exist if you don't. It is the rock upon which you can build your entire understanding. Thank you, Faith. Oh, Yanis, in Greece, thank you for being there. Thank you for being with me. Marketa, hello, Marketa. You seem new. I cannot pronounce your last name. Vutalainen? I love trying, but forgive me for not doing a good job. Hello from Finland. Hello to you. So good to have you. There's Nazrin in Ireland. There's my rock star Annette. Beautiful. Hello all. I have to admit I suffer a lot from isolation and lockdown. In Germany we are still not allowed to meet friends. Only are able to see one person. And somehow that hurts a lot and leads to depressed periods. Can you give me advice as to what to do and how to handle this situation? Thanks. Very human. First off, let's accept our humanness. The human being was not meant to live in isolation. It's a very advanced spiritual place someone gets to where there is no longer that need for it, that need for I feel it. I feel the aloneness. Right? That simple desire to be with my kids, my grandkids, my sister. Right? We all feel that. It's very natural. Very natural. So I'm not going to give you some magic thing to make it go away. I'm going to let you instead take the most interesting and unusual approach, and that is embrace your humanness. I'm supposed to feel this way. Right? Now, the depression arises because of this idea that somehow I'm not supposed to be feeling that. Of course you are. Now, if I can totally accept the fact that I feel this absence, right, without resistance, without getting trained to change it, without blaming somebody, without trying to reframe it, without trying to transcend it, just feel it, your humanness, the suffering will vanish. And you just feel it. And then you will find connection where you didn't have it before. When you can meet with somebody one-on-one, it will be full of magic and full of beauty for you. Right? because you are not denying your humanness. I know that sounds strange for somebody teaching non-dual transcendence. But non-duality is not a denial of the human. It is the total embrace of it. It is not, the ordinary human being is the Buddha. The ultimate attainment in Zen Buddhism is not this transcendent place. It is the embrace of being the ordinary human being. It is a total acceptance of humanness with no resistance, hence no suffering. Be with these feelings without resistance. Without resistance, there will be no suffering. There will be no depression. There will just be this overwhelming feeling, a need, a desire, totally natural. And then let yourself feel the beauty of it, the humanness of it. It's like, wow, this is what it feels like to truly be human. What a gift. Remember, the pure, irreducible, indivisible, infinite oneness, the pure awareness, the absolute awareness, doesn't know itself, has no experience. How does it experience? It must imagine itself. It must conceive itself. And in this conception, and there's a reason why it's that word. It is the conception of the universe. It's as if in a big bang it divides itself into a million pieces so it can experience. And an experience must involve contrast. It must draw highs and lows. There must be the sweetness and the bitterness. There must be the presence and the absence. Whereas in the oneness of consciousness, there's no absence. It is pure presence. You could say it's beyond presence and absence, because those are opposites. That you have to have one without the other. In the purity, it is beyond both. Pure presence, no absence. This is how it experiences it. Loss and gain. In our very narrowed, twisted little human minds as they've evolved over time, and lately, the last 40 years, where I live the life of my dreams and all, there's this idea that somehow we're supposed to live in a state of perpetual bliss, never feel the other side of it. Well, how in the world would you know bliss if you did not know deprivation? How could there be a mountain without a valley? This is the nature of experience, which consciousness, which is the essence of all of us, has chosen, for lack of a better word, to experience. This is the big bang of the self, which can't actually divide itself, because it's indivisible. It is one. And so it does so in its own inner world, it's beyond explanation, but like a dream at night, everything in the dream is you. Both the blissful and the nightmare, it is all yourself. Embrace your humanness. Don't try to escape from it. And there are times when we go without, and we feel that. Feel the value of it. And you may never take somebody for granted ever again. Wouldn't that be a gift? If the world learned that from this. Used it as an opportunity to stop fighting, stop arguing, stop being greedy, to truly appreciate. Does that help, Annette? I hope so. Hi, G. Hi, Facebook user. Hi, Mary. Namaste, G, and everyone, a Facebook user. When I ask myself who is producing the thoughts in the head, who is actually thinking, I cannot say it's me. Thoughts just appear, seemingly randomly, yes, and the body reacts to them. Where do thoughts come from? And what actually is a thought? Thank you so much. Much love. Beautiful. Beautiful. There's nobody thinking them. Yes. You go, who's producing the thoughts? Nobody. There's no thinker. There's only thoughts. You're not the thinker. You are the environment in which the thoughts appear and the substance out of which they are made. Right? It's like a bubble in the water, right? Or a current in the water, or a wave on the ocean. It's just the ocean. That's what it's made of, that's its nature. But the nature of consciousness is that it produces thoughts. And the thoughts just happen to form patterns depending on all sorts of different things. So nobody's thinking. There's no thinker. There's thoughts, there's thinking, but there's no thinker. There's just the appearance of thoughts. And you can see that even the thoughts and the thinking are really one. You can't have one without the other, right? We say a thought, right, because we try to take the flow of thinking and divide it up to get a thought, which is kind of like trying to take a river and divide it up till you get one piece of the river, right? Even a thought, there's no thought. There's only a flow, right? Can you see where one thought ends and another begins? Absolutely not. The only time you can see that at all is when it stops. Or you realize that you're the one watching it and that you're not thinking. You're simply experiencing the flow of thoughts. So what is a thought? A ripple, an evanescent ripple in the Sat Chit Ananda self, in the being, consciousness, bliss, absolute thought, absolute self. That's all it is. It is a ripple of the self, made of the self, in the self, being watched by the self. It is nothing at all. You can see there's even a thought of thought, isn't there? There's no thoughts. God, I hope I'm not going by you. I hope I know I'm passing you all up. I'm kind of like floating around in the absolute today. But it's not you. The thought I am this, I am that will appear, but that's not you. You're the one who watches it. The only mistake we make is when a thought comes that says I am this or that, we think it's actually referring to you, the witness of them. But this witness is not aloof, is not separate from them. As I was saying earlier to, I can't remember, John, yeah, I think it was John, that they're not separate from you, right? They're made of you. They're just not referring to you. The waves on the ocean are the ocean, right? Are they not? But they don't, that's not all there is to the ocean. They're temporary, they're transient, but they are simply the nature of the ocean itself. So there's not thought, thinker, and thinking. There's only consciousness. There's only the self. And we, in our ignorance, see it as a perceiving, and a perceiver. That there's a perceiver, there's this act of perceiving, and that there's this object of perception. We take that which is an undifferentiated, seamless whole, and then we arbitrarily project upon it categories and divisions which it doesn't actually possess. They're all projection. We call a river, right? But you can't put your foot in the same river twice. It's just a flow, right? So where's the thing? There is no thing. There never was a thing. No things exist. There is only this flow. And this undifferentiated wholeness is categorized and conceptualized by the mind, and then arbitrarily divided into piece parts. But the piece parts are all conceptual, they're not real. Like the border between two countries. Go look for it, you won't find it. There isn't one. It is an undifferentiated whole. It is all the self, and nothing but the self. And you are the self. You are Brahma, the creator. You are Vishnu, the sustainer. You are Shiva, the destroyer. And Shakti, the manifest world. It is all yourself. There is nothing other than myself. As it says in the Upanishads, all this is myself, for it is all come forth from me, poured forth from me. I, my Father, my creation are one. Thank you, Facebook user. Hello, Susanna. Yes, in the tax and conversion from dollars to pounds, I agree with you. We should create our own away from Patreon. Yes, actually, I'm only going to be charging $15 a month. My goal is to get 100 people. If I get 100 people and $15 a month, covers all of my business expenses, covers all of Satsang, and actually allows me to hire some people to do some of the work for me. I still do all the editing, the website. I did the whole thing myself because I'm just trying to operate on such... I want to keep everything cheap. I want to keep everything and do this for free. So, yes. There is another one I'm also going to use for one-time donations. I think it's called Library, and they take nothing. It is completely open source. Obviously credit card companies, they charge. But there are some others out there that are completely open, that are not going to be taken over by venture capitalists. So, yeah, when I did some research into Patreon, it was just like my heart sunk. It's like, oh God, not you too? E2 Brute? Oh dear. So anyway, enough of that. Thank you, Susanna. I know you feel strongly about these things too. I know you're on my side here. Marty in Vancouver. Hello, Marty. There's Jonas. Yes, they need it so bad. Oh, you're crying about me. Let's dump ayahuasca into the or LSD into the Washington water source. Understandable, very much so. And you got this. Oh, all the people helping each other. Hello, Ido Idison. Hello to you. I think you might be new. Please let me know if you're new. That's very, very helpful. And please give me some likes. There's 62 people here, at least right now. I'd like to get some more likes. Come on, just reach up, push the little button. It's not hard. Rashid, hi G, how do we deal with stubborn emotional patterns? Even when being awareness and knowing myself, as there are certain desires, fears that keep coming up. Any advice would help. Yeah, you're making them separate, aren't you? You are turning them into an enemy, a problem that has to be gotten rid of. Show me the problem. You show me a bunch of thoughts, and I go, yeah. And you say, well, they're a problem. And I go, well, isn't that just another thought? Are they really a problem? Or is there just this attachment to this idea that somehow, knowing myself, being awareness, they shouldn't be there? What are they that they should not be there? If they shouldn't be there, where the hell did they come from? Are they out there somewhere? Were these bad thoughts or horrible thoughts or nasty thoughts or depressing thoughts? Were they hanging around somewhere just waiting for you to walk by on your way to the grocery store or something and then they jumped on you? Or are they all simply within you? If they're within you, they're completely at your mercy. But you've decided that there's a problem with them and that they need to go away. And I'm not really aware or awake until they go away. So these thoughts now are the ones that are going to give you permission to become enlightened. How about that? Well, I guess we're going to have to go worship at their altar and bring them offerings and wave chickens and dance and that sort of thing. You see what we're doing? We create this ourselves. So stubborn emotional patterns. And the problem is, you see, if you have a stubborn emotional pattern, right, what do you have? A stubborn emotional pattern. That's it. What does that mean? Nothing. If I have a fear, what is that? What is it? It means I have a fear. But now I think, oh, stubborn emotional pattern, I got to get rid of it. It's no longer just a stubborn emotional pattern now. There's just a stubborn emotional pattern. Or should I even say an emotional pattern? Is it stubborn? Is it, I refuse to leave? I mean, is it like digging in its heels? Or is that just another characteristic you've projected on it? There's just a pattern. You see the pattern. It keeps coming back, right? So then it becomes a stubborn pattern. It becomes a difficult pattern. It becomes a problem pattern. All of it being made up. Otherwise, what is it? Take all of that away, and what do you got? There's an emotional pattern. All right, let's break that even down more. Take away pattern. What do you have? Oh, an emotion came up. Okay, it's gone. An emotion, another emotion came up. And the mind says, oh, it's the same emotion. Right? Was it? Or is it just similar? Story. Let's stay out of the story. What's actually happening? An emotion comes up. Goes away. Another emotion goes away. Another one comes up. Maybe a lot of them all in a row. And then the mind goes, oh, we've got an emotional pattern now. Ooh, pattern. Oh, they're even worse. They're stubborn. They're even more difficult to get rid of. None of that is in the feeling, is it? It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling, right? Even to say, ooh, bad feeling, good feeling. It's just a feeling. All the rest is story. All the rest is made up. Right? Get out of the fantasy. Close that book. Get out of your imagination and be present with what's here. And with what's actually here. Do you actually have a problem with it? If you don't listen to your mind, do you have a problem with it? If you don't say this is a problem, is it a problem? Or is it just something arose? Right? A feeling arose. Oh, look at that. Right? Sometimes feelings are like, ones we'd prefer not to have. Sometimes it's like they're wonderful. Sometimes they're exciting. Sometimes they're totally boring. It's just a feeling. Oh, this is what bored feels like. If it doesn't have to go anywhere, if I don't have to do anything with it, if I don't have to turn it into something else, what's the problem? The problem is always here. It's never in the experience. The experience is just the ripples of, the evanescent ripples of consciousness manifesting itself. And it always manifests itself in thought, in emotion, sensation, the world. What we call the world isn't even a world. There is no world unless you think about it. Thank you, Rashid. Merck, so good to see you. Hey, just dropping in from the deep woods. Lots of confusion going on, but at least it doesn't feel like my confusion. Understanding that there isn't a world corresponding to perceptions, but I still feel and act like there is. Audio is great, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Got the mic nice and close right here. Very good mic too. It's my Sennheiser. Yes, there is no world, right? As they say, first there is no mountain, then there is first there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then I am the mountain, then there's a mountain. This is the beauty of Zen, right? It's something objective, a world, then it becomes myself, then it just disappears into me, and then I become simply, then there's just the mountain. There's the world, there's people, there's feelings, there's thoughts, and they're not a problem anymore. Transcendence doesn't mean emptiness, blankness, voidness, everything goes away. What goes away is your illusions about it, nothing more. So yeah, you aren't the world, there is no world, and yet you still act and interact as if there was, which is simply the nature of experience. It's like you're having a dream, you realize you're dreaming, kind of like the dream. You hang out in the dream for a while. You know it's a dream, nothing can hurt you in the dream, right? But you're still interacting in the dream. You even know that everybody in the dream is nothing but yourself, which just explodes this love. My God, it's all me. That's love. Beautiful. But there is no external world. Right? As the Buddha put it, perceiving the non-existence of external existence. That's what he said. There is no world per se. What I'm experiencing is undifferentiated consciousness, which in my ignorance I called a world and believed it to exist separate from me. Bring it in more closely and you get an emotion. This feeling. And I go, I've got to get rid of that. I turn it in, when I do that, I turn it into the world, don't I? And now I've got to deal with it as an external object. It's not external. It's all right here. Everything you experience is right here. At the night sky, you look up at that star. You don't see the star there. You see the star here. Here is all you ever experience. Here is the world. Thanks, Merck. Robbie, thank you for answering, GP. I will let go of trying to maintain feelings. It's hard at first. Yeah, but it's also a relief. Amen. Amen, brother, it is. Don't try to hold on to anything. Don't hold on to anything. Don't resist anything. This is not a path that says, just endure pain and avoid pleasure. It's like when pleasure comes, it will go. When pain comes, it will go. Don't make it anything other than what it is, and there'll be no suffering. Because there'll be no sufferer. Thank you for your honesty. I think I get it. Thank you, Adelson. Yeah, thank you. Hello, Alessandra. Faith, I believe you. I trust you, Babaji. In our last call, I felt your presence. I was very emotional to look at your eyes, my guru. Oh. The darshan of wisdom. Makija, hello G, great to hear your voice once again. Glad I can still speak. And it hasn't become those old, cranky old voices. Hey, goddamn kids, get off the road. I hope I don't lose my voice. So funny hearing Americans trying to pronounce Scandinavian names. You making fun of me? Finnish names are on another level, though. Deep gratitude. Yeah, it is funny. I do like to try, though. I really like to do my best to try to pronounce somebody's name the way it's supposed to be pronounced. I just find it to be honoring. So, Elaine, hello, Elaine. Deep gratitude. Thank you. You're welcome. And Jonas again, the awakened INFJ. Something really just struck me so much. Same when Ram Dass, in a mixtape lecture about this, almost felt like a cry was coming. Embrace the human, the acceptance. So beautiful. Yes, this is not a denial of the humanness. It is not an eradication of it. It is to come to see that the human is the divine. They are not two. Man is God. There's God and God known. And who is it that is knowing God if it is not God? The self knows the self. Only the self knows the self. Only consciousness recognizes consciousness. But the manifestation of consciousness, pure consciousness, is unmanifest. You can't touch consciousness. You can't weigh it or measure it. Only when it produces itself in image, in form, do you actually experience yourself. The human is the divine. They're not two. There aren't two. Consciousness and its manifestation are one. Form and formlessness are one. Emptiness and form and emptiness. They are identical. The sense of them being two is a conceptual overlay. They are an irreducible, indivisible, undifferentiable whole. I am you, you are me. I am the universe is myself. There's only myself. Yes, embrace the human, and you find that the human is the self. The ordinary human being is the Buddha. Yes, it is so beautiful. Happy Mother's Day from Dale. Yes, again to all the moms. Yes, I'm new, says Ida. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Didn't recognize your name. Well, gee, I'm up to 4 likes. Boy, you guys are generous. Jeez, what do I got to do? I have to beg? Just click a little button? Hello, Michael. So good to see you. Dale says we should create a new cryptocurrency, GP coin. Direct peer-to-peer payments and no fees, no low fees. Seriously, you could accept a USD stablecoin for the same advantages, though. You know, I have thought about that. It's just, I just don't have the energy or the bandwidth to learn enough about the whole crypto thing to be able to make use of it. So if anybody has experience with these, real experience, and would like to help me kind of sort it out, to even accept cryptocurrency, wow, that'd be great. Especially untrackable and all of that. It's like, whoa, amazing. So, oh, it shows 27 on YouTube, 15 it shows Mary. Yeah, well, I'm not on YouTube. I'm on a service that broadcasts to YouTube and a couple of Facebook channels, up to 8 simultaneously. It kind of pulls things together. So here it only shows 4 and shows 63 people watching. I'll go later and find that the peak was actually higher in people. So this is great to know. So thank you all. Thank you all. Because I know, yeah, well, I didn't realize it was that much of a difference. So good to see. Yeah, I don't get all the same stats here. .com. Greetings from the Isle of Wight. How do you differentiate between thought, which we observe, and intuition that might help us, which we shouldn't ignore? They just feel different. That's all. I mean, intuition can take the form of a thought, but oftentimes it's a feeling, right? Which then will take a concrete thought in some kind of a direction or something to do, or some kind of an insight, or be it an internal direction, some kind of, self-healing thing, or just, an idea, a business idea, a creative idea, somebody who's invested in creativity their whole life as a musician and as a software engineer and as a variety of things that depended on creativity and innovation. You trust that sense of intuition, right? It's kind of critical to that's what I have to call it, is an intuition, just kind of an intuitive knowing. But notice that when it emerges, it's not really a thought, it's more felt, right? It's kind of the, I like to see it as kind of the first vibration of creation, almost like prior to conception, right? It's kind of this emptiness that's beginning to congeal, right? The energy is just started to come together. If you really feel into it, you'll notice how that it starts very subtly and it can even pick up steam and then happen in a flash, and suddenly there's this insight that you're having. But if you really trace it back, you'll see there's just this emptiness, this nothingness, and then there's this, and then something begins to take shape. It's very much like when you're having a conversation with somebody. It's an intimate conversation, the kind, you're really close. Not a job interview where you're watching every word, but the kind of conversation with a friend where it's just flowing. You'll notice that there's just this, out of nothing, there's just this feeling to say something. You don't even know what you're going to say, and yet you do know what you're going to say, don't you? It then flows out in words over time, right? And the words match, but the entire Everything you're about to say was already there, right? In kind of an essence, in the shunyata, right? In this pregnant emptiness. That's intuition. And it's all the time. That's intuition that gives rise to everything you say in conversation, isn't it? It's just this, it's this creative nature of consciousness, which is what you are. That's you being you. It's not something extra added. It's not something special. It's not something odd. It's not something extraordinary. That's your nature. Yay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Oh, people are giving me the stats now on the various stuff. Cool. 47 likes, 57 watching. Cool. Great. Yeah, it still shows. I see the numbers kind of going up here because it is collecting from YouTube and Facebook at the same time. But the likes, they kind of sit there. They don't move. So it obviously isn't doing a good job bringing them back. So anyway, Dale says, I should be able to help you with crypto. Wow, that'd be great. That would be great. I've thought about investing in some as well, but I'm so ignorant when it comes to investing. You know, I'm almost certain I won't make anything. Cool. Susan, there seems to be a fine line between self-compassion and feeling like a victim. What causes the subtle side? Is it dropping from the observer to judgment? Thank you. That's a very observant thing. When you're the pure observer, there's nothing but compassion. When you're the victim, you have identified with your conditions, right? And you're feeling the sense of powerlessness that is the essence of the victim. Now, we all feel a sense of powerlessness. It's human nature, because in so many ways we are powerless, right? Especially when you're a child, but even as an adult, we're powerless over, the political scene of the world right now and the economies and all of that. Individually, collectively, of course, we're not. We can do something about it, but individually, there's nothing. I am powerless, right? Now I can, if I identify that, if I recognize it as just, okay, this is the condition that happens to be here now. It is not my nature, but circumstantial. Then there's no victim in that. It is pure observing. And then you can realize how many others are in the same boat. That's compassion. And then there's the opportunity for something to arise, saying, maybe we can do something about this. And that's the act of wisdom. Right? That's what Gandhi did. Gandhi felt that. That's exactly what he went through. Right? That sense of being disempowered, because they were occupied by a conquering nation. There was a sense of compassion for himself and everyone else, and out of that grew the wisdom for him to basically kick the most powerful empire in the world at the time out, which just had a powerful effect on them. And the pound sterling was dropped as the world currency, and now it's just a little island up there that still is still angry about not being an empire anymore. No offense to my English friends. So this is how it works. This is how it happens. So when you step into the place of the observer has no preference. The pure observer, right? Doesn't mean preference isn't important and you become a milquetoast and everything is okay, right? On the level of the relative and the human, we're going to have our preferences. I like this better than this. I'm going to eat this more than this. I'm making this conscious choice instead of this conscious choice, right? Based on my highest sense of what is valuable and what's right and what's most loving, right? But the pure witness, right, is witnessing even the preferences, isn't it? And therefore has no vested interest in anything. Right? It sees the mentality that could become a victim. Now, if I step out of the pure witness into a witness that has vested interest, I'm going to start taking on the conditions as myself. And I may feel that powerlessness, and I may take that into the point where there's nothing I can do. And I can start feeling like a victim, or I can start feeling like a revolutionary, or I can get really angry, I can get enraged, right? But any of those actions, be it become a victim or to become enraged, some kind of violent action or something, are all coming from this same place of identification. The place of the wisdom will give rise to a completely different way of being. The pure witness is completely aloof, right? Is completely disinterested, right? But it is from that the wisdom which can see all sides and properly evaluate and discriminate, that light can shine in the darkness of the conditioning. Is that clear? So it isn't a fine line at all. It's a gaping hole, right, between compassion and the victim. And it is all where one places their identification. If I identify with the powerlessness, thinking of it as a personal attribute and not as simply a temporary condition, I become the victim. If I identify with the witnessing of it, and I recognize that this is just conditional, right? It is transient, it's coming, it came, and it will go like everything else does. I am now in the position of power. I am not the victim anymore. And I'm wise, right? I know exactly how much I can push, how much I can't. I know exactly what to do because I am not in the fray anymore. I'm watching it from the outside. I'm not duking it out inside the cloud. I'm outside looking at the cloud and all the people trying to duke it out inside. So does that answer it for you? And I actually have a video interview after this, so I am going to not be able to go as long as I often do, but I see that we have gone down on questions, so very, very, very good. So thank you, Susan, for that. Hopefully that helped. Rosalind, good vibes. Hi, Rosalind. Hello from Paso Robles. I know where Paso Robles is. Yes, Central Coast of California, wine country. I love this time of week. Thank you for sharing your energy with us this Sunday. My pleasure. On YouTube, and Lynn J, fairly new to GP's channel. Really wonderful. Thank you, GP. You're welcome. Very welcome. Thank you. Let's see. Hello, Diane. Love GP's sense of humor. So down to earth and normal. There have been a time where I would have been really offended at being normal. I wanted to be extraordinary. I want to be exceptional. Then I realized that, oh my God, I want to be nobody at all. What a burden trying to be somebody. Now I can just be a guy. So much fun. Me too, so much like my humor. And hi, Lynn. Welcome to the Sangha. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you, G, for another enlightening and loving satsang. Namaste, brother. Namaste to you. Thank you all for wonderful satsang. Love you all. From Penny, from Ava, thank you all. Another wonderful satsang, GP, and everyone. The sublime and insight. Yes, no offense taken. We tend not to worry about the loss of the British Empire. Oh, I can't wait. We're no longer worrying about the loss of the American Empire. Yes, that helped, GP. Thank you. I guess I'm lacking the connection to the wisdom of what to do. Or maybe the wisdom is do nothing until the compassion is stronger than the victim. Well, that would be the what to do, wouldn't it? Right? Yeah, that feels victim when you feel like there's something you have to do. Drop the sense of there being something you have to do. And what's left? Oh, I can just now be present and let the wisdom of events unfold. And they will. You're not controlling life. You're the witness to life. So, as I start to bring it to a close, just take a moment and empty yourself of all questions. Imagine all your questions are answered. That you are the answer. And you need nothing more. Just let it all go. Totally empty. hold on to nothing. No intention, no desire, no sense of needing anything. You're just being. Don't take any shape or form. Don't become someone significant or insignificant. Don't become a wise person or a victim. Become none of it. Just step back into the place of this awakened witnessing. Place from which all is seen. And just stay there a moment before going on to the next thing in your day or your evening. And just be nobody for just a moment. No questions, no answers, no needs, no desires, no shape or form of any kind. Just be. I love you all. See you next week.